Okay. We'll get to the live coverage as well. We'll start off with Al Jazeera. There are already celebrations taking place on the streets.
A couple hours turned this whole area into a stage of celebration, something that we're not used to see as early hour of this morning. And what we see in the past days, this area here at the hospital used to be a stage for funerals for bodies that are killed and brought to the hospital, much of it filled with agony and sadness. But the past couple hours have been particularly different, more of an expression of much of the feelings that have been suppressed for the past 15 months. And without going into the details of the terms, people came together and got in groups here celebrating, whether in the hospital or in the streets on 10 sites across the Gaza Strip and further in the northern part of the Strip in Al-Mawasi.
Damn, my guy would have given Reagan credit for releasing the Iranian hostages. I think the thing that you don't understand in that process is that even if there was incompetence, you're talking about a foreign adversary, not stopping a foreign ally. Joe Biden had the opportunity to do this with one phone call. I talked about this virtually every single day for 15 months, that Joe Biden can stop this today. He can stop it tomorrow. He can stop it yesterday. He chose not to do so. Do you understand? He chose not to do so. Israel was the party that was responsible for refusing to recognize the conditions set forth by Hamas early on, the conditions that Joe Biden represented as the conditions that Israel had placed on the ceasefire negotiations on July 2nd. And the deal that is in place right now is virtually identical to those deals. There have been more than 30 different instances where Hamas tried to facilitate a ceasefire. Israel refused it every step of the way. Joe Biden made it seem as though Israel was not the actual responsible party for refusing to deal with a ceasefire, and it was actually Hamas that was ruining it. And that's what's crazy about the situation, because Joe Biden had virtually every moment, every opportunity, all the power, all the cards to stop this by forcing Israel to meet his demands. And for a lot of liberals, I think this is impossible to contend with. Giving Donald Trump the opportunity to take credit for the ceasefire is entirely in the hands of Joe Biden. It is entirely in the hands of Joe Biden. If you think that Trump, additional pressure from Trump and the whole cut it out narrative that Trump applied in this situation, or maybe even a secret side deal that he cut with Benjamin Netanyahu, which will inevitably lead to possibly infinitely more bloodshed down the line, which I do believe he did, okay? But if you think that Donald Trump was not the mover and shaker in this circumstance, and it was Biden, and he just simply couldn't facilitate this for 15 whole months and was able to do so in the last second, you're out of your mind. Here it is. A diplomat briefed on the ceasefire negotiations between Israel and Hamas credited progress in the talks in part to the influence of President-elect Donald Trump, saying it was the first time there has been real pressure on the Israeli side to accept the deal. Who was ruining the deal? Who was refusing to abide by the deal? Was it Hamas? Was there more pressure necessary on Hamas? Was that the case, chatters? Did you learn nothing from my coverage for the past 15 months on this? You didn't hear anything? You just went, la, 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 can't hear you? No, Biden kept lying over and over again. Anthony Blinken kept lying over and over again throughout the entire process. There are numerous instances where I continuously showed you over and over again that Anthony Blinken would go on tour and openly state that it was actually Hamas that was the spoiler of the deal. It was actually not Israel that was the spoiler of the deal. It was Hamas. When we could see with our own two eyes who was actually spoiling the deal. So one must ask the question, why was Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden actively defending the Israeli side of the conversation? And why is everyone saying Trump pressured Netanyahu? Come on, man. Y'all are out of your goddamn minds if you think that the Biden administration finally packed this up. 2 weeks ago, Biden gave $8 billion of arms to Israel. 2 weeks ago. Not even, January 3rd, working tirelessly around the clock for a ceasefire. I guess you genuinely believe that when they were saying it. The grossest side of this process is that Biden had all of the power. He is the president of the United States of America. He could have done this. He could have done this day one. He could have done this early October 2023. He could have done it in November. Anthony Blinken and Joe Biden actively sabotaged the peace talks, the ceasefire talks, and defended defended the Israeli side by lying to the public. Here it is. Blinken apparently tanks ceasefire negotiations by fabricating a story to make Netanyahu look good. One of the many lies the Biden-Harris admin told to shield Israel from criticism. This is from the Times of Israel reporting from a couple months back. He pointed to a meeting Blinken held with Netanyahu in August, after which the secretary announced that the Israeli premier had accepted a U.S. bridging proposal for a hostage deal. The Arab official, along with a member of Israel's negotiation team, told the Times of Israel that this was empathetically not what had unfolded in the meeting, and that Blinken's comments had thrown a major wrench in that round of talks, which ultimately fell apart. How many times do I have to show you the receipts? I mean, I was there. I was covering it in real time. If Democrats knew, yeah, this was a funny tweet from Ryan. If Democrats knew that losing the election might lead to a ceasefire in Gaza, they'd have fought harder to win. Yeah. Credit where credit is due. Okay. The Teflon Don, he did it. The mad lad. He did it with a goddamn real estate developer he golfs with too. That is how much power America has over Israel and not vice versa. Okay. It's all a matter of who holds the cards. It's all a matter of actually pulling the levers of power if necessary, whether it is because you have a grander ambition for the region, a larger design for the region down the line, because you got $100 million from Miriam Adelson to permanently annex the West Bank, or whether it's because you want to look good for your inauguration, or whether because you're a major Nixon head or a Reagan head and you really wanted to do exactly what they did back in the day, because you have this tendency to reinstate old historical wounds of the Democratic Party in the way that famous Republicans have in the past. I don't know. It doesn't matter. What matters is Biden had all of the power to facilitate a ceasefire for 15 months, and he saw all of the baby murder. He saw all of the children being murdered. He saw the entirety of the Gaza Strip eviscerated, gutted with American weapons. And he said, $8 billion more, please, to the baby murder machine. How about when Trump sanctions the ICC into the ground to protect Netanyahu? You're still going to sing his praises? If you think that I don't recognize that, and if you think that I think Trump is in any way, shape, or form pro-Palestine, you are out of your mind. I like that everyone's position immediately in this instance is to act like the Democrats haven't been doing that already under Democratic leadership. What are you talking about? The Democrats have, alongside the Republican Party, already started the process. So what are you talking about? You know what they didn't do, though? Facilitate a ceasefire. So shut up. There is no defense for the Democratic Party on this day. There is no defense. It's just untrue. You can be critical of Donald Trump. You can shit on Donald Trump, and I certainly will for the rest of this day. Okay? But in this very moment, if you are reaching so far and wide that you make it seem as though Joe Biden had anything to do with this, aside from routinely allowing Israel to just do whatever it wanted over and over and over and over again, you're out of your mind. Yeah, remember the ceasefire button was a youthful TikTok fantasy. Here's Matthew Iglesias. I'm out of touch with the youth, but my sense is that there are now millions of pseudo-informed people gassed up on TikToks and Instagram Reels who believe there's some kind of permanent ceasefire button in the Oval Office that Biden is perversely refusing to press. So what happened? Did Trump find the button? Was it next to the Diet Coke button? What happened? How do we hit the button? It seems like there was a button. Everyone kept saying, Hasan, you are so childish. You are so childish for making it seem as though this is just a simple phone call away. A ceasefire is a simple phone call to Israel, okay? Not to Hamas. No applying pressure to Hamas. Like, they're literally Israel is genociding the Gaza Strip. What more pressure can you do than genociding an entire area where 2 million people once lived? That's it. You've maxed out on the pressure. Ridiculous. By the way, make no mistake. If Donald Trump also, Just Take Photos is correct. If Trump is also able to overturn the TikTok ban too, oh my God, dude. It's an endless faucet of pro-Trump sentiment coming from Trump is going to give the Republican Party the Reagan advantage for generations to come. And there is no liberal counter. There is no institutional counter to any of this stuff. He's just taking advantage of the ginormous failures, the patently and roundly panned awful decision-making of the Democratic Party to make himself look good. The button was Bibi's candidate of choice for winning. You're out of your mind, dude. Benjamin Netanyahu has no say in this process. okay? All they can do is try and undermine American interests in the region. But at the end of the day, if America's like, oh, yeah, you're going to continue killing people even though I want you to do the ceasefire. Okay, how about no more weapons? What's going to happen when they don't get Tamir interceptors, dude? What do you think would happen if American cruisers and aircraft carriers in the region go, okay, we're turning around then? What do you think happens to Israel then? What do you think happens to Israel without the 2,000-pound bombs that we were consistently sending to Israel as they kept literally running out of ammunition because they dropped multiple nukes worth of munitions on Gaza? What do you think would happen to Israel if America was like, all right, we're not protecting you anymore then? Are you out of your mind? What is the Iron Dome without Tamir interceptors? It's nothing. There is no world where Israel gets to do what it's doing without, and every step of the way, America saying, yeah, we love this. Keep going. We love it a lot, actually. The reality is the reason why nothing has happened for the whole time Biden was in power is because he's completely disabled. My friends, the intern in DC and young people that talk. No, I mean, Biden's ineptitude aside, like they wanted this. The Democrats as a administration wanted this to continue. The narrative for Hawks is now Trump is just better at applying pressure. I mean, is it wrong? Is that the wrong narrative? No, the real narrative is there's a button that must have been pressed somewhere along the line. And Trump was like, yeah, it's done. Okay, I'll give you whatever you want later down the line, but just cut this out right now. That's what I think. Okay, in this brief moment, there is a moment of solace here, and there will most likely be a tremendous amount of pain that comes later down the line. But ultimately, is it false? Is it false that Donald Trump, even when he wasn't president, was able to literally facilitate by applying pressure to Israel? Is it wrong? It's not. You got so much information coming out of the Biden White House where they actively told Israel, yeah, go blow shit up in Lebanon. It's great. We love it. You know, keep going. And even if you don't have insider information, you have outsider eyes to look at the situation. Every day there's another report of Biden being like, oh, I'm so angry with Benjamin Netanyahu. Here's another $8 billion of weapons, sir. That's crazy. Great, though. It seems like the same media apparatus that actively defended Israel's genocidal ambitions is now trying to reframe the narrative in an effort to give Biden credit 5 days before he leaves office, when he very clearly and openly kept lying at the behest of Israel over and over and over again. And it's great. It's great. You want to know why? Because people already don't trust mainstream media. Now they're going to go, what the are you talking about? We have eyes, we have ears, we have a brain. I can see what Biden did for the past 15 months. Do you think Trump gets credit? I mean, Trump is going to get credit regardless. He's going to get credit from obviously every single outlet on the right. That's number one. And this is a credit-worthy moment, okay? And last but not least, I think that for many people that have noticed what is going on, many people that are aware of what's happening, people are going to despise Biden for coming out and saying like, no, we did this. We finally did this, Jack. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous narrative.
Will hold.
I'm confident. Thank you.
Brooks, credit for this, Mr. President, you or Trump?
Is that a joke? Oh, thank you.
I mean, you guys understand, like every single thing that has unfolded so far is exactly what I told you is going to happen. Like, this is not unexpected unless you weren't listening to what I was saying this entire time. I told you, I warned the Democratic Party when the election was happening that Donald Trump is going to cut a side deal with Benjamin Netanyahu. You have the power to end this now. Use it. They didn't do it. I called this for months. I said this was going to happen. This exact same thing that is happening, I said is going to happen, and it's happening to a T. Down to the wire. It is a 1-to-1 almost comparison of exactly what I said was going to happen. How is this shocking to anyone in this community? You guys just like plug your ears and close your eyes when I'm doing commentary on this? I've been saying this is going to happen for months. And now that it has, people still turn around and go, oh, I don't know about that. Now, it's not fully done anyway. Netanyahu says the Hamas folded on the dispute over the Philadelphia corridor, but as the several items in the framework have yet to be finalized, we hope the details will be finalized tonight. Liberals in the chat trying to say this guy was actually the principal negotiator.
More than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th.
I'm just going to run that again, just so, because you didn't.
More than 15 months of conflict that began with Hezbollah's brutal massacre on October the 7th.
Hezbollah on October the 7th did a brutal massacre? You think that guy did the ceasefire? That guy, he just remembered he had the power 5 days before he's out? What kind of ridiculous false reality are we living in where people even entertain the notion that this is competent leadership in display? Of course, liberals are going to lose permanently and forever. You are making the most reactionary, stupid, mouth-breathing losers look sane when you try to literally justify anything that you're seeing here. Anything. Like, it's psychotic. It's QAnon. This is QAnon, okay? There is no difference functionally between trying to say Biden is a competent leader and he really tried really, really hard to facilitate a ceasefire, even though all evidence points to the direct contrary, okay? And he finally did it 5 days before his administration ended. The foreign policy genius, like, to me, running with that narrative is unironically no different than QAnon, being a QAnon supporter. He also said he spoke to the Emir of Kuwait to thank him for the ceasefire deal when he was, oh God, it was the Emir of Qatar. Oh my God. He doesn't have a PhD in foreign policy, chat. He's just that good. This is Twitch liberals right now. Most vindicated image in political history. Okay, smart guy, let's see you take a crack at it. Oh, I love that. Yeah, it turns out someone else did take a crack at it, dude. I mean, I covered this yesterday. Even the flex mode that, like, the fact that Donald Trump used a random real estate developer that he golfs with to be his envoy, to be his voice in the room. The fact that his envoy, his voice in the room, told Benjamin Netanyahu, I don't give a fuck about Shabbat, like, and forced him to talk on a Saturday. These are aesthetic moves that is exactly in line with the way that Donald Trump plays hardball, okay? Like, straight up, he did that deliberately. That is supposed to, that right there, him not sending like a serious a serious person within his cabinet and tasking a random real estate developer that he golfs with to be the guy is already disrespectful. That's number one. It's a way to reassert dominance. It's a way to show who's in charge here. That's number one. Number two, the fact that that guy was also actively being like, yeah, I don't care. You're going to work on Saturday. I don't give a shit. Like, that is disrespectful. That is incredibly disrespectful. But that kind of disrespect is exactly the way that Donald Trump, like a shitty real estate developer, would cut side deals. You know what I mean? To play hardball. This is why he won. Yeah, he did. Lib chatters parroting Matthew Miller. Miller says the ceasefire was conceived by this administration and admin officials traveled the world to garner support for. Miller says this proposal dates to late May and Biden went around the world getting support for it, which left Hamas isolated and alone. In fact, Hamas accepted the terms in May and again in July. They're still lying about it. That's what's crazy. Like, this is Hamas's proposal from May, and they're still actively lying to defend Israel after Benjamin Netanyahu Joe Biden. Okay? Think about that. Like, even if you don't think Trump applied pressure, Benjamin Netanyahu actively over Joe Biden, okay? Actively. He was like, yeah, I'm not going to play ball. I'm not going to play ball. I'm not going to play ball at all, okay? And they're still defending Israel to the last second of power. That is crazy. State Department briefing. The first since mid-December just started. Matt Miller is excitedly talking about normalizing relations with Saudi Arabia since there's now a ceasefire. So it wasn't Biden then, but mainly Netanyahu. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Of course it was Biden. Biden holds all the cards. Biden controls the levers of power. We are the American government. Okay. What are you saying? Biden's incompetence in this process doesn't change the dynamic, doesn't change the power that he has, doesn't change that, like, the people in his inner circle actively wanted this to happen. Okay. Actively wanted this genocide to continue. That's it. Biden loves genocide. Make no mistake. He loved it. Okay. He loved every moment of it. And luckily for him, it is going to continue until the last day that he's in office. The Democrats alongside Biden also loved it. Okay. They did. Seemingly, they didn't do enough about it. They didn't do anything about it. They applied zero pressure. There were a couple Democrats who did, and that's it. And they were cast aside. Ridiculous. If you expect me to just sit here and lie to you and act like Biden actually did this last-ditch effort to finally press the Netanyahu government, that's ridiculous. It's not going to, you want me to lie to you. You know what I mean? You want me to actively lie to you to feel better. Okay, I get it. I hate Donald Trump. So I understand why in this very moment you're like, well, still, maybe it wasn't. Why are you giving credit to Trump? It's like giving credit to Reagan. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you giving credit to Trump? He cut a side deal with Benjamin Netanyahu. Okay. Whose fault is it that the genocide continued in that process? Who's doubly at fault here for allowing this to be an election defeating issue? It's Biden. It's Biden and the rest of the Democratic Party and those in positions of power who had every opportunity to stop what was going on, even when it was electorally beneficial, even when it was the moral thing to do, even when it was the right thing to do, and they chose not to do it. Make no mistake.